Kansas City is a dynasty. We are a great franchise. And I'd like to give you a little bit of credit for keeping some of the guys healthy, putting good food in their belly and for their family and keeping them happy. So, on behalf of Kansas City, we thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Voorhees, host of Running Hot. With me today, William Bowles. Thank you for joining us. 6 sauces. I like to tell everybody the first 5 is for you and the audience, and the 6th one is for me and charity. So, the 6th sauce, $1,000 is a charity of your choice. Have you thought about who you're going to be donating to today?
Yeah, I did some research. I think I'm going to do Unbound.
Okay.
It's a charity that focuses on helping families that are suffering poverty. But it's not like a handout. It's more like they focus on teaching how families to, like strategies and techniques to remove themselves out of poverty. So
That's really good.
yeah.
Awesome. So I noticed the Yankees cap when you came in. You said you just like the hat. You're not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball fan. I really like the style of the hat.
Well, I like the style of the hat, and I like the Yankees. So
All right, so I guess we're winning there.
You're winning there. Okay, so let's get started with sauce 1. I'm going to let you grab that one. I already told you. Yep, the one on the right. I already told you that this thing is going to take me down if I stand up. So you're going to handle the right side. I'll handle the left side.
I used to work. I staged at Right KC for
Did you?
about a couple months.
Okay. So you just take a little bit. Doesn't need to be a lot. It's probably a little more, but this is very runny. You can pick if you like drummies or wings. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Can I just pour it directly on the
It's
wing?
up to you. Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Honestly, I've never had anyone do that, and it's probably pretty smart. You got to think about it.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not as smart when you get to the hotter ones. So, all right. Wings are much better today.
Mm.
So, the audience will now know you are a chef and run your own business. So it's going to be interesting to have you critique some of the sauces and your flavor palette. But really, I've gotten to know you. It's fascinating, your background and, starting your own business. So what really prompted you to get into food and becoming a chef?
It's an interesting question. There was nothing directly that prompted me. I've always been kind of interested. My mom cooked, my grandma cooked, and everything, but it was kind of like just a spot in the moment. Was not sure what direction I wanted to do after school. My counselor brought me in. She was like, caught up on credits, but what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. She was like, well, we partner with Kansas City Community College to their tech program, and it was a little field trip. Got me out of school for the day. I was like, why not? I don't care.
Right.
Went through the whole thing and everything, and landed in the culinary part of the school, and I was like, I like food. Why not?
Right.
Let's do it, and then did it. Signed up and everything. Went through the first couple months. I was like, it was kind of boring. We did all book work, all the surface tape stuff. My instructor that taught the class, he thought I was a kind of a class clown. Wasn't really there for anything but the BS and everything. But after we got into the actual program and actually started cooking, that's where I kind of blossomed. Showed my leadership and everything, and he was like, "Who is this kid?" And he was like, this isn't who I thought you were in class." He was like, I was like, "This is not where I am. That's not where I flourish." So that he said, "Hey, I like how you cook in school and during projects and everything. So want to join competitions and everything," and got into competitions. And then it just kind of took off from there. So.
Isn't that interesting that, a lot of times in leadership, and also there's capability on your part, but you weren't flourishing in the class.
Mm-hmm.
And so the teacher made a judgment based
Yeah.
on what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you got into actually hands-on, culinary, being able to create, that's when you flourish. So I always find it interesting that where was the breakdown? Could the teacher have asked you, or could the leader have asked you, is this the way you learn best? Is this exciting you? And you could have also articulated, hey, I'm not really interested in that. But I always find it fascinating, that breakdown, that if you never got there to that point where he could see your talent, you probably wouldn't have started your own business and become a chef.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. This is no dig to him. I think he was an absolutely fantastic instructor and everything. It was just how he was teaching the lectures.
Yeah.
And I passed all the lectures. Lectures were nothing. It was just memorizing like numbers, temperatures, and orders of things. That was like nothing wrong with that. It was just kind of like, it was just bookwork. I just couldn't click with him and how he was explaining everything. So I would sleep a lot in class, and he was over it. I feel it, and so like I said, it was nothing he did or could have done. It was just a circumstance. But like I said, I showed my talent. I mean, I had no problem with doing that. I was gonna do it regardless. But they noticed it, and they just said, "Okay, well, come on this way."
Very cool. All right. Any feedback on the first sauce?
It's a sauce that's supposed to coat
Okay.
the whole entire thing. So it was very mild. There wasn't really much heat to it. It was a really laxed, very mass populating sauce for sure.
So when you say it was meant to coat,
Mm-hmm.
walk us through that. Like, I mean, I know what it means to coat, but when you're cooking, why would you want something fully coated? Does that change the profile?
So the wings would be hot coming out straight off the fryer and everything, and you would toss it into the sauce, and with the heat of the oil from the crispiness of the wings and the sauce heating up, it would elevate the sauce itself.
Okay.
So it's meant to coat the whole entire wing, so you take a whole bite of the sauce with the heat of the wing and the spice of the wing and the seasoning and everything. It's a sauce that's meant to add to the wing and not take away from the wing.
I hope you all noticed the question that I asked. I had really no depth for the question that I asked, but I had a feeling he'd bail me out, and he didn't disappoint. Like, you were talking about the fact that it's how it elevates the wing, or it's just, I wouldn't have thought of it. And I think a lot of people probably don't think about all the things that go into cooking, right? I'm sure they think, okay, hey, I want wings. I'm going to go to Wingstop, or I'm going to go to Buffalo Wild Wings because I like the sauce or the environment, versus there's a technical component that you were referring to as like, hey, if I want my dish to do X, then I know this is the process I have to go through because this will make my dish do Y.
Well, you also have to think about this, like Wingstop and let's say Rye KC. Rye KC is going to put more effort into making their food taste better. Wingstop expects people to dip their food into sauces. So their chicken isn't all the way seasoned. It's very plain, very regular. So you can dip it in everything and it tastes good still. Rye KC puts a lot of work into their food. So
I hope you're all taking notes, because really what you can do is next time you have a party or you go out, you can use that and sound like you know what you're talking about. So I'm looking forward to continuing to learn. All right, let's go into number 2. I'm going to rely on you. It's still on that side.
okay.
Now, I will tell you, the Bravado Spice Company, and we've done quite a few of their sauces over our shows, and I'm a big fan. I'm interested to hear what you think about them. I think their first 3 sauces that we have on the show have a really strong vinegar base, which I like the flavor.
Okay.
But we'll see what you think.
I
You'll
personally
probably tell me
think
something.
that I'm the biggest vinegar base for. That's why I don't really like buffalo sauce.
Yeah? You're not a fan?
Not really. It's just way too vinegary for me.
See, I love vinegar or salt and vinegar chips.
No problem.
What are you feeling there?
It's good. A lot more flavor, a lot more depth. I don't really get the basil in it. I get the serrano. Get some smokiness to it, and the acidity isn't too bad actually. It's pretty good.
I'm just laughing at the complexity of this conversation is completely different from any one we've ever done. because a lot of times we're talking about different things, and now we're actually getting to talk about what we're doing on the show, which is eating, and we might have to change up some of our guests and have some people from the culinary industry. I'm liking this.
Yeah. I do wish they were a little more heavy on the basil. I feel like the basil would have been a really nice surprise in it.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, we were talking the other day, and the sauce that shall not be named on this show right now, and I felt like I was eating cough syrup. I was like, oof, no. So I could tell you what I don't like about it. You're saying, here's what's missing. I think you could add to it. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
So you go to school.
Mm-hmm.
You start to realize you love cooking, and there's a lot of different things you could probably do in the culinary food service arena.
Definitely.
But you decided at some point to start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did you get to the point where you said, "Look, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and run my own company"?
Well, let's start. So, back to my chef instructor. The first day of, actually, I think it was the end of our lecturing thing. He was like, write down a little letter to your future self, which was a really cool idea, and like, what do you want to get out of the program, or what your end goal is, or whatever. And I wrote down, I think I remember, is that my food, I would like to keep it intimate. I want it to be an experience between me and the person that's eating my food. It's more of a nurturing thing to me, and a more of an experience of trading of words without words. And I thought that was a really deep thing for me, and it's a very home thing for me. So when I was going through culinary, going through the competitions and everything, talking to other my peers and everything, everybody was like, "Oh, I want to do a restaurant. I want to make my own, do my own restaurant and everything." And I worked in the restaurant business, going through and working here and there, and it just never really appealed to me. All the little politics, all the little micromanaging of everybody that's there, just doing the mass volume of trying to keep everything right when there's so many moving pieces to a restaurant just didn't appeal to me. And it didn't seem like it was a intimate exchange between the people that are eating the food and the chef that actually created the food. So I always thought, I just want to do something small between me and the person. And I didn't know if I wanted to be a personal chef at that moment in time, but over time, it kind of like started to form its way into, I can be a personal chef, because it's not a career path that you kind of like think about. It's just kind of one of those things that happens, or you get exposed to it, and then you're like, oh, cool, I can actually do this. And then, so it just kind of took off.
It's really interesting, especially when you meet someone earlier on in their career and they're aware enough to say, hey, this is where a lot of people go in my field. But you're saying, I know that if I go down that path long term, I'm not going to be happy. And a lot of people don't do that. They spend years, sometimes decades, before they recognize or they're willing to admit, like, this is not for me. So was there any moment you think that pushed you to say, hey, early on I know this? Can you think of any moment, or was it just something where you just had that intuition that this is not going to be for me?
Well, like I said, I was working in restaurants and kitchens from a young age. I started working at like 16, and through that whole experience, going through, I worked at Hollywood Casino, Sporting KC, a couple at the Rye, KC, a couple of the different restaurants, and the late hours really killed it for me, especially as a young person. And everybody's going out and everything, having their time. And I'm on weekend, I'm sitting here at 12 o'clock at night scrubbing a stove for what reason? It's just kind of like, it puts it all in perspective. It's like, this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or even be a chef that comes in maybe four times a week, checks on everybody and bounces, do a little paperwork, orders food and everything. And it's like, do I want to do this?
Right.
So it didn't click with me. And running my own spot, it sounds good. I still think I want to do like a small little food truck that pops up every now and then.
Right.
That sounds really cool. But other than that, my focus is mainly on being a personal chef, being that intimate connection with the person. Even with cooking with different families, it's just like you get to see how they grow and experience, and how you're just a part of their nurturing of their life, and that's really, really cool for me personally.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's get into 3. We'll see. So
General's hot.
there was 2 of these. The other one, when we were talking, I was telling you about tastes like earth. I took that one out.
Okay.
I wasn't feeling the earth. You can see how chunky it is towards the top.
Okay. Should we shake it up?
Well, let's see. Last time we had to get a knife. There, that's enough for me to go. You might have a different experience putting that directly onto the wing.
Look, I live life on the edge.
That's right. See, I was expecting it to be a verde sauce, the one that tastes like earth. This, to me, is more of a verde. All right, what do you got for us?
I think you hit it nail on the head. It's a very, very Mexican salsa inspired hot sauce. It's nothing crazy. It does what it needs to do. I think it's a very general hot sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything crazy. I would like to say that we can ramp up the heat some more. You know.
Okay.
I feel like we're here for a hot sauce and nothing's hot. We're on number 3 already.
Okay, so every single person who has decided to puff their chest out has regretted it. But, everybody knows that, we're probably 15 minutes in. You just sounded the horn. Okay, we'll get moving. So you are working in the culinary industry.
Yeah.
You're coming up different roles, decide like, hey, I want to be a personal chef. You start your own business. Walk us through the experience of what it was like to actually form your own business. Was there any moments where you're like, oh boy, this is not what I thought it was, or this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be?
A little harder. It was actually extremely challenging. I found it extremely challenging. Now, if you find it extremely challenging, I feel like it's an experience that varies person to person. But me personally, I thought it was extremely challenging. My experience kicked off 2020 during COVID. I was Sporting KC had shut down. Got a little job at a burger shack, small little family-ran burger shack, and I was just like, "What am I doing? Like this is not it." And I was just getting paid like really low, and I was like, I get it. It was COVID, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I sat down. I was like, I'm gonna start right now. And I feel like that's the biggest thing is just start.
Right.
And going through the process, I didn't know where to start. So I just said, let's figure out a name. And that took me like 4 months. No lie, it was the hardest thing I could ever experience. Procrastination on top of just no creativeness towards how I want the name to be. And I didn't want it to be just generic, Chef Will. Like, I feel like every chef business is like a Chef Will or their first name or something, which I didn't stray too far from it, but I don't know where it came from, but I was sitting there, I was like, what can I do? What can I do? I want to put like kitchen in or something. And then I remembered my first girlfriend, she gave me a small little cutting board that had Chef Dornell on it. And because I didn't like the name, my first name or really my last name like that, so she put Chef Dornell, and I was like, okay, D, Dornell. And I was like, DK. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, so I was like, Dornell's Kitchen. I was like, I can rock with that. So once I got that set in stone, I did the whole LLC thing, got my business number and everything, and things just started moving a little more. Steps started to feel like it was going further. And then I got another hiccup was, how do I how do I get out there? How do I start like actual business?
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, let me make a little menu, whatever. That took forever because I was like, oh, let me figure out how to price everything. 'Cause I thought pricing was the hardest thing ever. It's still pretty hard for me because you want to like get a fair estimate. You want to make money, but you also want to scam no one. But you want to, make sure you're making profit, but also getting your money back. And that was hard. I was sitting there crunching numbers, making menus and everything, and then I never even used it, and never even using the menu, which is kind of crazy. I spent hours making the menu, never used it. But from there, that was a hiccup, and I kind of stalled out right there. And then I started working again. Was working at Sporting KC again. I was working at the training facility, and the chef there, the head chef for the team, she was like, "Well, She used to cook for Chiefs players, and she was like, "Well, I just met one of the new rookies, or not rookies, but he was a new player, and they want a personal chef, and I can't do it. Would you be interested in doing it?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Right.
Like, I'm not going to say no. I still had no clue what I was doing, had no clue my business direction, but I was like, this is it. This is my break, and I'll be damned if I miss it. So I was like, full send. I went straight into it and was working there. I was doing them 2 times a week. I was also still doing my other job where I was a chef at a high-end nursing home, and not necessarily nursing home, retirement center, but working there. And I told myself when I started working at the retirement center, I was like, I'm only gonna be here for a year. I got the sous chef position, worked there for a whole year, and I'm gonna quit and do my business. And it just happened that she called me to do the cook for the Chiefs player, literally 4 months before I was about to quit. And from there, I quit. I ran off. I got another Chiefs player, and it's taken off. That year, I did 2 big caterings. First time, almost botched both of them. Like, absolutely almost botched both of them. Almost started a fire in my oven and everything. It was a hectic experience, but we got through it. It was a good experience, and from there, it's just been steady. The year after was a rough patch. We lost one client, and then I just kind of hit a plateau. But then that end of the year, 2023, end of 2023, kind of started picking up some more. Got some more clients, and then 2024 kind of really hit. Like we was just going, and it kind of just took off. So right now we're doing good. We're steady. We're really great clients right now.
So it is, I don't care who you are, starting the business is one of the most challenging things, and you're right.
Absolutely.
Just getting started is probably the hardest part.
Absolutely.
Getting an EIN number, the tax ID, was so hard for me in Kansas. I was so afraid. I answered all the questions, but I kept second guessing myself. It's like, is this correct? Is this not correct? Are they going to come arrest me if I answer it incorrectly? I was like, okay, so you feel me on that? So I get it. And then all the little things that can get in your way, those obstacles. But, I mean, I think that's what separates an entrepreneur from someone who doesn't take that jump, is that ability to overcome those. I think that there are probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of great ideas in our country, and people that probably could start very successful, profitable businesses. But that little thing in the back going, too much risk. You could fail. What if you do it wrong? Are you going to be? It holds them back. So kudos to you for overcoming that. Now we won't say who, but you have cooked for Super Bowl winners.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I have to say that because, and if any of you Philly fans watching this, I have already given you your due respect. You won fair and square. I'm actually impressed that 2 years later you remembered and you brought it to us. But let's be clear, Kansas City is a dynasty. We are a great franchise. And I'd like to give you a little bit of credit for keeping some of the guys healthy, putting good food in their belly and for their family and keeping them happy. So, on behalf of Kansas City, we thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so you had a request. You said let's amp it up a little bit. Now we're on my side. Another bravado. I'm a fan. This is black garlic and Carolina Reaper.
Okay. Okay.
So I will tell you, I don't find this to be excruciating, but I will tell you, you can tell it's darker, it's a little thicker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're heating up.
Okay.
So, like I said, everybody puffs their chest, and then here we go. Mm. Mm-hmm. Like I said, not excruciating, but you get a
It's a little ting.
little pop. All right, talk to me about this one. What do you think about it?
It has good flavor. Honestly, I really didn't taste it too much.
Because the heat?
Yeah, but it's not. It's not like a heat that has no flavor.
Right.
It's a good heat. The heat is, it hits, but it's kind of like it steadies out. But it's good. Yeah, there's definitely heat.
Well, when
Not too much though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just enough to be like, next one that'll get you. When people find out that I was a competitive eater, you know, they start thinking about the guys that, you know, Joey Chestnut and eating all the food. And I said, listen, I love food.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want to eat food that I find tasty to me.
Yeah.
And I love hot wings. I love hot sauce. And so for me, I'm eating something that tastes good. Now, we'll get into things that the last sauce I don't think has a ton of flavor. It's just got a ton of heat. But I genuinely love eating food, so I'm not going to be just putting a bunch of trash into my body. So, as you said, like, hey, I can taste it, but I didn't really taste it. I'll be interested to see what you think of the next sauce and then the one after that.
Hey, look, I'm excited.
So, you know, you talked about earlier the intimacy with your food and how people are taking it. Why is that so important to you?
Why is the intimacy of cooking for someone important?
Yeah, like, why is it important to make a connection with the person that's eating your food? I mean, that is something that I don't think a lot of people think about from a chef's perspective or culinary perspective. Someone's trying to connect with you through this medium. This is their art. So why is that important to you? Because you chose to be a personal chef so you could have a greater connection with the person eating your food.
Because just like art, just like anything else, food is a bridge between cultures. I mean, it brings so many people together. People travel the world just to eat certain things. Food comes from other places and inspires other things. You have so many fusions of things. Food itself is culture, just like dancing is culture, just like art is culture. It transcends. So for it to not be looked at as an intimate experience kind of just belittles the culture behind the food that you're making. So I make different, when I cook for people, I make different dishes. I either make a traditional dish or I switch it up and add American flair to it or my own flair to it. But that's all in love of the culture that it came from. So how I see it is it has to be intimate. If it's not intimate, then what is it?
Damn, that's a good answer. So I love basketball. You know this about me. And I'm not the biggest KD fan. So Kevin Durant. I'm in awe of some of the things he's been able to do on the court. I haven't liked him. He played for Texas, which at the time was a Big 12 school. I'm a KU guy. Naturally, I'm sure there's some of that. And I see, sometimes I just don't like how rugged he is in his commentary. And I'm sure he's annoyed at some of the dumb questions he gets. But I appreciate when guys take the time to talk to the media. And so the other day, it was right after the All-Star game. I don't really interact a lot on social media, but there were some people giving him crap. And, of course, in his pure fashion, he kind of went after him. And I just saw a clip that was put together of Steph Curry and a couple of other players interacting with different fans who maybe had been diagnosed with cancer, or they had some disability, and just the intentionality behind what they get to do for a living and how they interacted with the people that watch them. And I posted it to KD and just said, hey, I know you're upset with the people that don't respect what you do, but think about the people that think of you as larger than life. It makes an awful day of theirs so big when they get to see you play basketball, or they get to see you come over and shake their hand. Like, don't forget that. Don't let the haters impact the experience and what you give to other people. And so when you were talking about that, I was kind of thinking about that. You were talking about the culture and almost your duty to be respectful to the culture that you're doing. I thought that was. I've never thought about food this way, but it said a lot about the intentionality of your food and that intimacy. It was awesome, man. All right, you ready for the bomb? So we started around 7,000 Scoville. That's where we started. We're now getting to about 150.
What was the last one at?
The last one's probably around 75.
Okay.
That'd be my
nice
guess.
jump.
Yeah, this one, we've talked about this. The step from 5 to 6 can either be like woo or stepped, just a little gradual. The 4 to 5, it's going to get you. Then 5 to 6 isn't typically as much. So we'll see what you think.
Now, I've had this one before. Little weird story. It was I was at my friend's house, saw it in his drawer, and I was like, I'm gonna taste it. It got me. I was not surprised. I was not expecting it. I was like, there's no way this is about to be hot. Insane.
Yeah.
But it's a very dark, very smoky, very rich, very bold spice. It's not meant for the best flavor, but it's definitely meant for that boldness, that kick, that standing ovation. It's not bad. It's creeping up a little bit more, but
Yeah, keep talking. You're spreading it. So I equate. That's a different type of smoke, but I equate that taste, that flavor, with heat.
Yeah.
So when people say like, "What this next sauce is gonna be," to me it just tastes like heat, which is smoke. What you're talking about.
yeah.
So you, to take a slight deviation, you did the one chip challenge.
Yes, I did.
How'd you feel about that?
Ooh. Not only was it a guy decision, it was a spotted moment, drunk decision.
Good.
We were just chilling, hanging out. Best friend was like, I got 3 chips. You can't just say 3 chips and be like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? He was like, I got 3 chips. He was like, what? The one chip challenge. And I was like, oh, okay. He brings them out. They're like these really dark coffin packages. He was like, what's about to go on? What's about to happen? He's like, well, let's just do it. And I'm like, I'm such a fuck it, let's do it type of guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I take the chip. He takes the chip. His cousin takes the chip. We all bite it. The other dude, he just nibbles on it. And I'm just like, I'm gonna bite it. I don't care. And I just take the whole chip. Best friend was like, if you don't do it, I'm gonna do it. So we both did it. It was cool. It tasted terrible.
Yes.
It tasted like cardboard.
Yes.
And that's it, honestly. And then after that, it was a cool little maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and it was like, that wasn't that. It was actually probably like a couple seconds. Felt like an eternity though. But it just hit. The heat was insane, and then it hit your stomach, and then you felt it in your stomach, and it was a terrible experience.
Yeah. The biggest disappointment for me, because just like an athlete, being able to do something someone else can't is fun, right? And so spice for me, guy we had on earlier this week, he was scared for sauce 1.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to quit at sauce 3. He made it. He regretted it, but he did it for kids. I looked at that chip as, I'm going to be able to take this because I'd seen so many people online, have problems. I was so disappointed. It was hot, no question. I have respect for the spices, but I expected a Dorito.
Yeah.
I expected a atomically hot Dorito.
Yeah.
And I was eating this, and I was like, God, this tastes like cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
This is spicy ass cardboard.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it was a little disappointing, but it was really cool. I've recently seen, and we may do this just kind of like the holiday edition sometime. I've recently seen people do intense sour challenges to the point where like they lose control of their salivary glands, and they're like, I think that would be really entertaining. I probably won't do that. One of the perks of being the host, I can, opt out, have our creative team just don't put me in the spot.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
Wow, okay.
There are perks to the job. So, the one chip challenge, which is a little bit of a disappointment. So, all right, we're on to 6. Can you believe that? Yeah. Already there. 5 was a little hot.
So I have a quick question.
Please.
Is this one hotter than the surprise one over there, or?
I think they're about the same. That one's it's within 20,000 Scoville units.
Okay.
So in that box that I was showing you before the show, Pepper X is in there, and that's the hottest pepper on the planet. It's the newest one. And I did that on a show last year, and I was nervous. The night before, one of those nights where I'm reading whatever I can get my hands on, and I just so happened to read about the creation of Pepper X, and then how they tested it, and the guy that tested it had a seizure. So I have this in my mind going,
okay,
I don't know if I'm ready to say goodbye yet.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want this pepper to be it. But,
That's a way to go,
I'm on camera. Our guest had brought it to me as a gift. So, I'm going to do it. And you can see me, the clip, I flinch. I pause. You can see me pause, and then I just went ahead and did it. But what I will tell you is when you're at sauce 6, the step from 6 to Pepper X, you're fine. I had forgotten about it. Glenn Fisher, who was the one that brought it to me, said, do you remember we were so surprised it wasn't so hot, we did it again?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because it wasn't anything. It was formidable. Trust me, the after effects let you know that it was over 1 million Scoville. But the actual taste in your mouth, you're already there. So, if you're really feeling froggy, we can...
Do they have the last dab in that?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to try. What is the last dab at?
It's Pepper X.
It is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to get it?
You can get it.
Let's see what this one's about first.
Like I said, I'm coaching a basketball game tonight, so I'm not sure that I want to call a timeout because I need a moment to myself. But maybe I'll bring some.
So what's this one at?
This is 336,000 Scoville
I
units.
really like this barbecue sauce. They do
they?
Amazing barbecue sauce. I've never had their hot sauce, but amazing barbecue sauce.
So this is called Death Nectar. And it took me a while. This is not blood. This is buffalo sauce or hot sauce coming off this skull and crossbones.
Okay.
You'll notice that the characteristics are dark and very thick. So here, I'll do that there.
All right. Death Nectar. All right.
We got any more weenies left? Yeah, one more. All right. Just a little dab.
I'm a touch nervous. Not even gonna
Don't
sit here and say I'm not.
Yeah, don't pour a bunch on there. You'll regret it. But a little dab. That's fine. If you want to play with the toddlers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Look what I got.
Okay. Look, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not.
There you go. That's fair.
That might be a little much.
Yeah.
All right.
if you can get to it before it hits you with heat, there's like this kind of sweet, maybe molasses.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm pretty proud that I called out molasses. I feel like you've brought out some of my very minimal culinary skills.
I mean, I think you have a great palate, honestly. It's kind of crazy.
Well, thank you. I will take that as a giant compliment. But I felt like a little bit of sweet, and then you get the heat. It starts to develop.
Their barbecue sauce is really sweet too.
Yeah.
But it's a really good sweet, so I can see the similarities for sure.
So what do you think heat wise? Doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. It's underneath my tongue right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. But it's creeping. It's gradually getting stronger. But again, nothing too crazy. If I got like a couple minutes, I think I'd be good for sure.
A lot of people don't know that when you eat very, very hot, spicy foods, that much of how your body or your mouth reacts is where it initially makes contact with your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing that ever happens, and it happens occasionally, even for somebody that does it all the time, you accidentally, it almost first contact with the back of your throat, and that burns. And there's nothing you can do.
It's the worst thing.
You can drink water, you can drink milk, I mean, it doesn't matter. And then, if it really is bad, it'll start making you cough. And it takes a while to recover from that. Luckily, I have not done that in a while. I find that the tip of your tongue stings. If you hit the middle, it kind of spreads out. But yeah, you start to learn what it's going to do to you. And the fact that I hit sweet said it got to the middle of my tongue. I'm sure there's something taste bud oriented with that. Maybe I'll have somebody who specializes in anatomy come on and we can talk about the palate and all that. Mm-hmm. So we'll evolve. So when we get to question 6, I asked this one question probably for our first 4 episodes. I can hear you over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure the saliva doesn't hit my back of my throat and I start coughing.
I would ask the question, hey, do you have a silly ritual or anything that, you know, it's kind of your guilty pleasure that you're not embarrassed of, but you wouldn't put it on the front page, and no one can answer it. And a lot of them are like, I don't have one. I think you have one. Everybody has one. But I get it. So then Morgan, who's our head of marketing, came up with this cup of questions. She's like, let the guest grab one. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I want to let the guest choose or fate. So I pick through them, and I think through our conversation, and I'm like, what might they be able to answer? And then I go, maybe we get 1 to 2 questions. So question 6 becomes a 2-parter. So I start picking through this. I like that one. That's a good one. Maybe the long ones are good. Oh, that's a good one too, but I gotta find a different profile. That's a good one. We need to find some comedic ones too. Some of these are super deep. All right, we'll go with those 3. So, what's one question you wished I would have asked you, and how would you have answered? So is there a question that you were like, hey, I feel like I can really tell a story, and if you would have asked me this is how I would have answered?
Honestly, I think I've been answering pretty in-depth, so I don't really think there's any questions you didn't ask I didn't like either give a secondary answer to that would have aided in any more of our conversation. I guess I don't know how I felt during competitions.
Yeah.
How I traversed that, how that added to how I am or where I am now. So.
Because you're not a competitive person at all.
Oh, wow. Huh?
So yeah, tell us about competitions. I think that's a really good point.
Competitions were really fun for me. It got me out of regular classes. I wasn't learning much more in classes than I was already. Nothing was challenging. I was pretty. There was definitely a noticeable skill gap between me and the other students. And I think my instructor saw that, and when I went to my first, we did a team competition. We had a tryout and everything. It was knife cuts and breaking down the chicken. I was really good. I could do the whole knife cut and break down chicken in 10 minutes. And it was a series of different knife cuts, but I got the appetizer position. So it was appetizer, dessert, and entree. And my appetizer was a seared butter scallop with a peanut puree, microgreens, and a saffron risotto. All very technical. All had to be done in a certain amount of time. But it was really good. We took gold for that competition, and I got scouted for the NAACP. And I represented Missouri for the culinary program. I took state for NAACP, went to nationals in Baltimore, Maryland. I took silver for that. Got a scholarship. Didn't use it, unfortunately, but got that, and then went to do Skills USA, took gold in state, and then went to nationals, and that right there was an eye-opener. When you're in a stage of 50 other students that are just as skilled as you, or if not better, kind of puts a very much perspective of how big the world is when you only grown up in, like, let's say Kansas.
Right.
And you see all these students like, oh, they're just as good, if not better. And my program was not the best program. We focused on basics, and my instructor did the best he could to teach me elevated things in such short and with the resources that we had. And for me to get to that stage, I think we did really good. And it was an eye-opener. I didn't place, unfortunately, for that, but I think it was widely because of the pressure that I wasn't expecting, especially coming from a national competition that was 6 people to this, which was insane. So I think it definitely aided in my career of just giving me a more broad spectrum and humbling me just ever so slightly, and just give me another way of experiencing culinary. And I really enjoyed it. I thought about doing some more competitions, but I don't know if that's in the cards right now, if I really want to do that or not. So we'll see.
No, that's really cool. And there's a lot of maturity in what you just said of, hey, I had excelled. I had won golds. I had won silvers, and I had come from a program that maybe wasn't known for that type of that type of competition. But then I got to this one and I didn't place. It was because I was underestimating the pressure. I wasn't ready for that. And a lot of people find that to be a weakness, to admit that you weren't ready. But you used it as an opportunity to say, okay, I know this about myself. That's something I have to prepare better for.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because I was definitely cocky. I went into I went into it cocky. I was like, all the other competitions were nothing. I was half-assed in practice a little sometimes, but I thought I was doing good on practice and everything, and it hit me, and I was like, damn. And then one thing happened and crumbled on that, and so it was definitely a learning experience for sure.
I love it. Well, William, thank you for being a guest today. We appreciate it. William of Dornell's Kitchen. We'll put that on the post so you can look him up and some of the foods that he's prepared for the family he works for. David Voorhees, host of Running Hot. Thank you again for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time.